Chosen one, listen closely. This may feel painful, but heaven has pressed pause on everything around you to whisper a deeper truth into your soul. The goodbye you are experiencing is not abandonment. It is divine redirection. You thought this person was your forever. You carried them in your spirit, believed they were the one who would stand beside you through every storm. But their exit is not proof of your emptiness. It is proof of your calling. Because when God marks you, not everyone can stay. Some people are allowed to walk with you for a season, but they are not destined to walk into your eternity. Heaven already knew this moment would come. And though your heart feels broken, your spirit is being preserved. You are not being left behind. You are being set apart. From the beginning, before your first breath, God carved your name into eternity. That is why nothing in your life has been ordinary. The storms you endured, the loneliness you felt, the weight you carried that others never understood. This was not punishment. This was the fingerprint of God shaping you for something greater. Hear this. Their goodbye is not your ending. It is your unlocking. The enemy thought this would crush you, but instead, it reveals the crown hovering over your head. You were never made to blend in. You were never made to cling to what could not handle your anointing. You are a divine interruption in a world that tries to move without God. And that means only heaven-chosen connections can remain. So lift your head, beloved. The one who left was never meant to define you. The one who called you has already gone ahead of you. Their goodbye is heaven's way of making room for your true destiny. You are chosen. You are marked. You are not losing. You are stepping into what cannot be taken away. It was not your strength. It was heaven holding you, refusing to let you fall into the pit. Beloved, you need to understand why you are hearing this right now. Heaven does not waste words. This very message is proof that your story has entered a turning point when God pauses time to speak. It means the season has shifted. You are stepping out of the shadows and into your true name. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are chosen, and the evidence has been around you all along. The nights you cried and no one heard. Heaven heard. The moments you were rejected, heaven was confirming your crown. The people who walked away, the jobs that slipped through your hands, the opportunities that seemed to vanish, it was never rejection. It was redirection. God was guarding your steps because your destiny cannot be mixed with everyone else's. You are too rare to be wasted. Some of you have been asking, why do I feel this constant warfare over my life? It is because you carry a light that terrifies the kingdom of darkness. Even when you were unsure of who you were, the enemy knew. That is why you've been fought so hard. But listen closely. What the enemy fears is not your past, not your mistakes, not your failures. What he fears is your awakening. Because once you realize who you truly are, there is no stopping you. And let me tell you this clearly, the moment you awaken to your authority, chains begin to break, not only over your life, but over the lives of those connected to you. Your obedience is bigger than you. Your rising is not just personal victory. It is generational breakthrough. This is why heaven refuses to let you sleep on yourself any longer. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8, verse 31. If God is for us, who could be against us? This is not poetry. This is reality. Every weapon formed against you may form, but it will not prosper. Every scheme that was plotted against your name will collapse under the weight of God's hand on your life. You're not fragile. You are fire in the spirit. Chosen one, this is the moment where you must rise from within. Shake off the lies that told you that you are ordinary. Break free from the voices that try to chain you to mediocrity. You are heaven's warrior, earth's light bearer, the one who carries divine authority even when you feel unworthy. Your worth is not measured by what you've lost, but by what heaven placed in you before time began. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Pay attention because this is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. Heaven has orchestrated even this moment so that you would not miss your calling. And now I want you to declare it openly. Not for me, but for yourself, for heaven, for the world of spirits that is listening right now. Type the number 111 in the comments. This is not just typing digits. It is a prophetic act declaring, I receive my true identity. I've been picked. As you do, I am now marked. Keep this in mind. Heaven recognizes you before kings and angels when you accept your calling. This is the fresh beginning for you, right from the start of your existence. The mark of heaven was already on you when you were too little to comprehend. Selected one. You were never a stranger. You weren't only biologically or situationally born into your family. By divine artistry, you were carefully put there. Because of this, you have sometimes felt alienated from your own people. For this reason, you have often questioned why your soul was unable to rest when others found fulfillment. You were separated for a greater purpose and marked from birth. Consider it. Heaven has already spoken your name before you could even speak. Destiny had already laid out the route your feet would eventually follow before you could even take your first steps. The enemy's assault started so early in your narrative because of this. That's why you appear to encounter problems even as a toddler. It has nothing to do with your curse. It was as a result of your selection. The adversary, he sought to bury the light inside you because he saw it before you did. And yet here you are, breathing and standing. Evidence that what heaven decreed could not be stopped. There were moments when you felt unworthy and invisible, as if no one could see your tears. In actuality, however, heaven was always observing. Your preparation was interwoven with every day of rejection and every night of grief. Every scar you have now serves as evidence that God has always been with you. You didn't just happen to live. You were marked, which is why you survived. Selected one. Recall the times that ought to have ruined you. The mishap that may have killed you. The treachery that almost crushed your soul. The depression that attempted to take over your thoughts. Nevertheless, you managed to get back up. Even though you didn't comprehend it at the time, you now realize that it was heaven protecting you. No darkness could remove the mark that was placed on you from birth. Through the prophet Jeremiah, the Spirit communicated. Verse 5 of chapter 1. I knew you before I created you in the womb. I distinguished you before you were born. You were chosen by me to be a prophet to the nations. These old words are not far away. In your tale, they come to life. In the same way that Jeremiah was known before he ever breathed. Where are you, Zor? Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. You're not here to fit in. With the fire inside of you, you are here to put out the fire. People have misinterpreted you because of that fire. You have always felt different because of that fire. And there's no need to conceal that difference. It is something to welcome. There may be times when those closest to you find it difficult to comprehend why you follow your path, why you prefer lonely routes, and why you can't follow the throng. But be aware that the mark of heaven forbids you from compromising who you are in order to appease others. You're not like the others. You're not your typical self. You have been selected. There are moments when you question why relationships fail. Why do doors close? Why do people leave? The reason for this is that heaven will not let your destiny to be tainted. Purification has been the goal of each separation. Every loss has served as a safeguard. Heaven was whispering, even if you were crying over what was left. I'm keeping the mark on you safe. Do you understand what this implies, chosen one? Before the earth ever started to revolve, the same God who created the stars and their radiance and painted the heavens with light laid his hand upon your life. An afterthought is not who you are. You are included in the everlasting scheme. You can't quit up now because of this. That's why the fire inside of you won't go out. Heaven will shine brightest in the scars you bear, no matter how hard you try to smother them. Even if you have questions, they're helping you get closer to the truth. There is nothing wasted about you. Not the stillness, not the waiting, not the tears. It has all been a build-up to the season you are entering. When you look into the mirror of your past and see a rejected kid, an ignored adolescent, or an adult who was misinterpreted, keep this in mind. Heaven was always aware of your suffering. You bear the mark of God today, just as you did before. And as you come to terms with that reality, you'll realize how each fragment is being put together to create something far bigger than you could have ever dreamed. Let this fact get ingrained in your bones, chosen one. From birth, you were marked. The argument was so fierce because of this. The enemy arrived so forcefully because of this. However, he was unaware that the battle had simply exposed the flame, and that flame is unquenchable. Thus, raise your head and align your back. You're not like the others. We don't forget you. You have been selected. There's always been the mark. Now is the moment to truly embrace it. Selected one. Something has to be bravely faced by you. You never carried an average load. It all pointed to who you really are. Every quiet struggle, every secret hardship, and every night when tears stained your pillow in secret. Things that would have broken many others have happened to you. But you weren't broken by them. You were fashioned by them. They made your soul's steel of heaven visible. Don't hate the struggles you've faced. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Examine your travel carefully. The deep-seated betrayals. The times when you're left behind. The burdensome obligations you were given when you were very young. Why your life has not been easy may have been a mystery to others. Why it appeared like your path was more difficult than theirs. However, the reality is straightforward. You are strong enough to shoulder the weight that has been given to you. Capacity, not comfort, is the proof of selection. You were designated for more, so you weathered storms. There have been moments when you've wondered, why do they get to live so carefree? Heaven trusted you with hardships as training, even though I'm always put to the test. Crushing is the only way to get the oil of anointing. Only extreme pressure can make diamonds. And without the hardships that molded you, you would not be able to discover your inner grandeur. The words of David found in Psalms 34 verse 19. The Lord saves the upright person from all of his problems, no matter how numerous they may be. You live in this world. Anxiety was never an indication of rejection. It was evidence of guidance. You wouldn't be ready for the authority you're taking on today if your life had been devoid of hardships. To be able to carry a flame, you were formed in fire. Your voice was being built in every valley. Your spirit was being strengthened by each storm. Your crown was being shaped by each rejection. Selected one. Consider the times you were on the verge of giving up, when the burden was too much for you to handle. Nevertheless, you continued to walk. That fortitude wasn't arbitrary. It was divine. You've been supported by heaven, even when you're at your weakest. And now is the moment for you to understand why you were experiencing that agony. You were sowing a seed of greatness with each tear you shed. Your spirit was being prepared for leadership by every hardship you bore. Because of this, even when you felt weak, others looked to you. You didn't even realize the power they recognized in you. You didn't know how much you were carrying. And in solitude, heaven was molding you. Until you truly embrace your purpose, some of the suffering you went through will never make sense. You'll realize then that nothing was squandered. The loneliness, the financial hardships, the familial scars, and the restless nights. It had all been stage preparation. Heaven is getting ready to receive you. You won't just get through it. You'll attest to it. Select one. Take a minute to recognize this fact. You're supposed to bear so much more glory, which is why you have endured so much. Being selected entails having weight and trust. You were made with unbreakable strength, if you can be trusted with weight. You're feeling that strength growing now. Now, I want you to take a quick yet effective action. Even as I type these things, I get up. And why? Because it's more than simply a remark. It's a proclamation. It serves as a reminder to your own spirit and a declaration to the invisible world that you are still rising despite your burden, your sorrows, and your wounds. You are repeating the truth of heaven each time you write it. You weren't crushed, but you were squeezed. Not destroyed, but struck down. You were designated to ascend. And let this to permeate your soul. You are not bound by the struggles of your past. These qualifications demonstrate your perseverance. You now carry heavenly authority rather than weight. A mantle has been built out of the weight. You will be able to speak life into others, go where others are afraid to go, and relieve tired people of their worries by wearing that mantle. Therefore, never again question why I was selected rather than Clar. What others cannot carry, you do. What others did not endure, you did. You now become the person you were always destined to be. Selected one. You have to be aware of the power you possess. Before you even speak, there's something about you that makes darkness uneasy. The environment changes just by your presence, because God's light shines from inside you. You're the one who is to blame. You've placed responsibility elsewhere. You've even wondered if this is the only way your life would ever be unable to find solution. However, the Lord's Spirit says no more. This is where the pattern stops. There is a finality anointing this month. Final as in deliverance, but not as final as in death. The kind of change that closes a chapter so completely that it can never be opened again. It's the kind of disconnection that takes the item away from you as well as from you. Change is something you've been aching for. However, willpower is not enough to bring about true transformation. It is revealed, and this is what is now being made public. Only because a part of you continued to feed it did the cycle have power. Because you continued to resort to it in times of weakness, that fear, that compromise, and that habit endured. Loneliness or exos. You weren't doomed. You were just apprehended. The trap has finally been revealed. Truth is the foundation of freedom. And right now, the reality is staring you in the face. You're being invited by God to shut the door. Not eventually, not slowly. He is now demonstrating the route for you to pull out. Don't simply chop the leaves. This season has been heavy because of that. You're finally facing what you used to avoid, not because you're failing. You're no longer orbiting. You're on your feet. Furthermore, standing has great power. No more swaying to every emotional gust of wind while you stand. When pressure builds, there will be no more shrinking. Stop trying to justify things that you know aren't aligned. Perfection is not synonymous with standing. It refers to posture. It indicates that you are now rooted. Feelings don't affect your spirit. It is grounded on reality. Cycles break like this, with decision, not with drama. Another sign is not necessary. You must resolve it. Define the limits. Remove the access. Put an end to the compromise. Give up petting what God has commanded you to give up. You cannot assume supernatural power while carrying the dysfunction of the past. Certain cycles depleted not only your time, but also your energy. They weakened your judgment. They caused you to doubt the things that God had previously verified. Your eyes are open now, however. You no longer feel at ease with uncertainty after tasting clarity. Now that you have inhaled free air, enslavement is out of the question. What used to shatter you has grown out of you. According to the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 1, Christ has made us free for our freedom. Then, stand your ground and refuse to let the yoke of servitude to enslave you ever again. Even if that yoke was familiar, bondage was nonetheless in place. Furthermore, God did not send you into the wilderness to live in shackles in the promised land. This is a sacred moment. There is more to the fire that is growing inside you than merely moving ahead. For ultimate separation, the wildness will not be a part of your next season. You're not bringing your previous burden with you to the new task. The break will be clean this time. Indeed, there will be some pain. It's never easy to say goodbye to something you previously relied on, even if it caused you pain. However, discomfort does not indicate that you are making a mistake. It may sometimes serve as evidence that you're doing morally. Often, obedience hurts before it frees you. Feeling the pull of old habits is not a sign of weakness. But now you're stronger. Strong enough to make a different decision. Robust enough to go without a round of applause. Enough strength to put deliverance ahead of comfort. You have now outgrown the cycle's falsehoods. Therefore, it can no longer hold you. What used to fill the hole is no longer necessary. Now, purpose is being poured into that emptiness. You're disgusted by what used to divert you. What tempted you now seems insignificant. Growth is that. That is proof. That is real-time transformation. Selected one. You are entering your ultimate state of liberation. This isn't a short-term fix. This is enduring freedom. This August will not be remembered as a month of improvement, but rather as the month when you finally left the loop and the repetition came to an end. Instead of only hoping for better, you became it. The cycle has over. The route. A baker rises early, mixes the dough, works with fire so that the hungry may eat when the bread reaches your hands and it nourishes you. How beautiful it is to say, I will support this bakery, so more bread may reach more hungry souls. That is what your simple action does. A share places bread into the hands of someone starving for hope. A subscription is like keeping the oven burning, ensuring the fire never goes out. And for those who feel led, donating is like sowing wheat into the field. So there will always be harvest tomorrow. You see, it is never about the money. It is about the mission. Every gift keeps the light alive so that more chosen ones like you can awaken to their destiny. And if this word has stirred your soul, then you already know it is worth more than gold. But listen carefully, chosen one. Even without recognition, even without applause, your crown is secure. Rejection did not diminish you. Silence did not erase you. Heaven still has your name written upon its scrolls. The crown prepared for you has not slipped. Even when the weight of loss made you bow your head, you are still royalty. Though earth has not acknowledged it yet. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. Every rejection was painful. Every season of being overlooked felt unfair. But every rejection was redirection to the throne of Egypt. And when his crown finally rested upon his head, he realized if his brothers had not rejected him, he would never have stepped into the palace. Chosen one, that is your story too. The throne is not behind you. It is ahead. Every rejection has been pushing you toward it. One day you will look back and see that the very people who walked away created the empty space that heaven filled with your destiny. So lift your chin. The crown is still yours. And if this message has strengthened your spirit, do not let it stop here. Pass the light forward. Like, share, subscribe. Let the fire spread. And if you feel led, sow a seed into the mission. Not as payment, but as participation. Because this crown, this awakening is not just for you. It is for generations after you. And remember this, chosen one. Rejection was not your ending. It was your proof. You were rejected on earth, so you could be crowned in heaven. Chosen one, there are patterns hidden in your life that are not coincidence. There are numbers, moments, and timings that repeat themselves, almost like whispers from heaven reminding you that your steps are ordered. You may have dismissed them before those moments when a specific number kept appearing. When you looked at the clock and it struck you again and again when a sequence of digits stirred something in your spirit. But now you must know these are not random. These are prophetic confirmations. The same God who stretched the heavens with his hands and aligned the stars in perfect order also placed signs within time itself to remind you of his order over your life. Just as he spoke through dreams to Joseph, just as he wrote messages on the wall in Babylon, so too he has been placing markers in your journey. Heaven communicates in symbols, in visions, and yes, even in numbers, chosen one. These prophetic numbers are not magic. They are not superstition. They are reminders of covenant, whispers of destiny, and confirmations that you are aligned with divine timing. When heaven wants to reassure you that you are not lost, these signs appear. When you are about to give up, they return as reminders that heaven has not forgotten your name. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 12. I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. Notice that God promised a sign. Heaven has always spoken through signs, and it still does today. The fact that you have noticed certain patterns repeating is proof that heaven is trying to get your attention. These are not accidents. They're divine fingerprints. Think of the Israelites. They wandered for 40 years, and even their number of years was prophetic. Jesus fasted for 40 days, and the 40 was not random. It was confirmation of preparation and completion. Numbers in the hands of heaven are markers of meaning, and in your life, chosen one. They're proof of how closely God has been walking with you. Perhaps you've noticed the same sequence appearing in different places. Maybe you've seen in receipts, in timestamps, and phone numbers. These are whispers, nudges, divine reminders saying, pay attention. I'm present. I'm with you. Do not dismiss them any longer. The same way a shepherd marks his sheep. Heaven has been marking your steps with codes only your spirit can recognize. But here is the greater truth. These numbers are not just reminders. They are invitations. Invitations to trust deeper, to believe bigger, to walk with boldness. Each number that repeats itself is like heaven tapping you on the shoulder saying, keep going. You're headed in the correct direction. And selected one. I want you to do something prophetic if this speaks to your spirit. Right now, type 444 in the comment section. Why 444? Because it is an indication of foundation, stability, and heavenly establishment. After years of trembling, it symbolizes the firm footing God is putting under your feet. Remind yourself of this fact each time you see it. There is no longer any uncertainty in your steps. Your journey is no longer precarious. Destiny is establishing, rooting, and grounding you. You're stating that my foundation is safe in God when you write 444. I refuse to be moved. This is more than simply a figure. It is an act of prophecy that unites your soul with the order of heaven and is a declaration of trust. And allow me to elaborate. Before a building may soar to great heights in architecture, a foundation must be established. Digging, pouring, and fastening the invisible, builders initially spend more time underneath than above. God has been working with you in that way. Years of planning, years of concealment, and years of feeling as if nothing was happening. That was the pouring of your foundation. And today, much as a sturdy foundation prevents a structure from being toppled, heaven himself established you as his chosen one. So you too shall stand unflinching. You will stay upright even when others fall, when the winds blow, and when the storms arrive. The purpose of the numbers is not to divert your attention. Their purpose is to verify this indisputable fact. The hand of heaven is upon you. You have the mark of heaven. The time of heaven is coming for you. Therefore, pay attention to these indicators the next time you encounter them. Since every number, pattern, and sequence is not only a coincidence, smile and mutter, I see you, Lord. Thank you for reminding me. Covenant is what it is. Raise your spirits today and allow this to become a part of you. Your route is set. Your steps are safe. Everything is going according to plan for your destiny. It's confirmed by the indicators. The figures serve as a reminder. Your heart is already aware of it. Selected one. Think about that for a moment. Why? Even during seasons when you were not quite sure of your mission, has the opposition battled you so hard? Even when you were only wanting to live in peace, why did trouble find you? The realm of darkness is frightened by the weight of destiny that your soul bears. The others are not like you. You have a big calling. The enemy's intentions are directly threatened by your presence. The adversary doesn't spend energy on innocent people, you see. His most ruthless assaults are reserved for people whose futures include countries, kingdoms, and crowns. You have therefore weathered storms that many around you have never experienced. That explains why your struggles have been so intense, personal, and relentless. The weight of your mission is revealed by the weight of your battle. There have been times when you've asked yourself, why me? Why is everything so difficult? And the answer is straightforward. Because you have been selected. Hell instantly raises a target when heaven leaves a mark on your life. Long before you did, the powers of evil were aware of your anointing. For this reason, they tried to silence your voice, crush your faith, and stifle your pleasure. The enemies didn't realize, however, that each strike you took just made you a more potent weapon. In Psalms chapter 27, verse 3, David's writings serve as a reminder. My heart won't be afraid, even if an army besieges me. Even if I am attacked by war, I shall remain confident. This self-assurance is not conceit. It's alignment. The greatest struggles can no longer terrify you when you have faith in God. The thing that was supposed to kill you has already survived. And the fact that you survived it all is evidence of your inner power, chosen one. Because your light has an impact that extends beyond your visible realm. The fight for your soul has been fierce. It goes beyond your individual narrative. It has to do with the innumerable lives that are linked to your compliance. The adversary is aware that communities will awaken, families will be repaired, and generations will be healed if you truly embrace who you are. For this reason, he used pain, deception, and cycles of failure to try to stop you early. He wanted you to trust the suffering more than the assurance. But listen to me. He failed because you are still here. Your voice has only been louder despite every effort to quiet you. Every plan to tie you up has simply made you more determined. Your training ground is what the adversary intended to destroy. You now walk as a fighter who comprehends battle rather than as a victim of it. Consider the struggles that molded you. Think back to the evenings when you felt anxious. Nevertheless, you managed to wake up and continue. Think back to the betrayals that caused you to lose faith. But your heart wouldn't shut entirely. Think back to the times you were drained by loss. But you continue to hold out hope. These are hardly minor triumphs. They are enormous. They are evidence that heaven's hand has kept your soul intact. The adversary realized that your clarity would transform the world, so he attacked your mind with uncertainty. Because he was afraid of the covenant force encircling you, he targeted your relationships. Knowing that you would move mountains if you had energy, he rubbed tiredly against your body. God provided a barrier against every assault, so even though you could have been hurt, you were never completely destroyed. You were never uprooted, even if you were disturbed. Selected one. Know this. Your battle is not a kind of discipline. It's getting ready. God has permitted certain conflicts to test you, to hone your skills, to awaken your inner warrior. You are acquiring qualities that cannot be taught in comfort, such as perseverance, fortitude, and discernment. The only power you are earning is survival. You'll eventually come to understand that the exact conflicts that aim to destroy you also served as the foundation for the growth of your crown. Raise your head. Start saying, I must be carrying something great. Because you are rather than, why am I fought so hard? Hell itself is trembling under the weight of the duty you are carrying. A light so dazzling that darkness flees before it is carried by you. Even the strongest storms cannot destroy the destiny you are carrying. Victory has always been etched in your tale, despite the intense struggle for your soul. Your life has never been freed from the seal of heaven, and heaven has already marked you with glory, authority, and victory, while the adversary attempted to brand you with defeat, disgrace, and fear. Selected one. Do not abhor the conflict. Take it for what it is. Affirmation that you are strong, that you are chosen, and that greatness is your destiny. Imagine how magnificent the crown must be. Chosen one, if the struggle has been this intense. Have you noticed the recurring visions? The visions that play in your head as if they were created by an invisible hand. The dreams that stay with you long after you wake up. These aren't arbitrary. They are not the result of fantasy. They are hints of fate, foreshadowings of the future, and affirmations that heaven has been communicating from early infancy. You could recall having dreams that didn't seem like regular sleep. It's possible that you observe yourself standing among strangers in unfamiliar settings. You could have heard heavy phrases that you were unable to describe. Maybe deep inside you kept seeing storms, doors keys, crowns, and symbols. You sensed their significance. Selected one. They did. You have always been given eyesight from heaven. There is significance to these insights. They were sparkles of heaven, though others were unable to decipher them. Every sign, whisper, and picture was a coded communication from eternity that hinted to the way forward. The weight was constantly acknowledged by your spirit. They served as a reminder from above. More is in store for you. This truth is alive in your narrative. In his epistle to the Corinthians, the apostle tells us in verse 9 of chapter 2, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him. Your visions and dreams are snippets of what the human eye hasn't yet seen in its whole. They are sneak peeks of unfulfilled promises. In order to strengthen your confidence during periods of delay, heaven often shows the conclusion before the beginning. Recall the moments when you question your value. However, you saw that you were shining in ways that were unattainable. Those sights weren't meant to make fun of you. When you dreamt of bigger things, they were meant to remind you of what was already written. It was not a work of fiction. It served as a reminder of the future that God has planned for you. Heaven guides you to your goal so you won't pass out on the way. Selected one. Seeing what others cannot is not a sign of insanity. It's normal to feel as if your soul is listening for whispers in the quiet. You are only receptive to God's voice. What some refer to as coincidence. You have distinguished between what is known as imagination and confirmation. Heaven summons revelation. Take note of the images you continue to see. They are intended to help you, not to perplex you. Heaven is telling you that many people will be released by your presence when you dream of light piercing the darkness. You may be sure that the rejection of the past was done merely to make place for your ascent when you see yourself wearing a crown. It is a prophesy that your voice will be heard more widely than you could have ever dreamed when you find yourself in front of countries. Here's the problem, however. Often, visions come long before they are realized. Like tiny, delicate seedlings, they come to be watered with faith. Because of this, uncertainty often strikes following a dream. The adversary wants you to bury it, ignore it, or disregard it. But each vision you possess is a divine treasure, and it is your duty to guard it. Imagine Joseph as a young man once again. In his dream, he saw fields of corn growing in front of him and stars bending down to him. Because of what he saw, his brothers made fun of him, detested him, and conspired against him. However, the dream was real. It just took time. The vision was not erased by years of sorrow, imprisonment, and treachery. And eventually, it came to pass. Just as heaven had showed him, the dreamer became the king. Right now, your dreams may appear unattainable. Don't hate them, however. They serve as mooring points for your future. One day, you will be able to stand where you could only see in whispers. When those who questioned you see the fulfillment, they will realize that it was never a dream. Even if the vision seemed delayed, it was heavenly revelation. Have faith in them. Heaven doesn't play around. God never plants promising seeds with no intention of seeing them through to completion. Keep them near you. If you have to, protect them in quiet. But don't leave them. They serve as evidence that you are walking with intention. Selected one. Your persistent visions are not coincidental. They are foreshadowings of fate, indications that you are in harmony with the plan of God. What you saw in pieces will shortly be fully shown to you. And when it does, you'll see that heaven was always communicating intelligibly. Selected one. It's time to talk about your crown. This crown is not made of gems that can be taken or gold that tarnishes. It is neither made by human hands nor bestowed by kingdoms on earth. It is a crown of destiny that was prepared before the earth was ever created, sown by heaven itself. Even before you could see it, you could feel its weight. Long before it could lay on your head, you had its promise in your soul. Crowns are not set carelessly, you see. Fire comes before glory, refinement comes before elevation, and testing comes before crown. Because of this, your journey has been difficult, your nights have been long, and your burdens are heavy. It's not that you were overlooked. The reason for this is that heaven was preparing your head for the future. The unprepared would be crushed by a crown that was too heavy for them. But for you, the difficulties have made your shoulders stronger, your neck stronger, and your posture more stable. You are prepared to put up with it. Your soul was being shaped by each restless night. Your soul was being carved with patience by each unsolved question. In order for the crown to seem like an inheritance rather than a burden when it finally came, every delay was heaven extending your limits. Why the fire was so powerful for you may not be clear to others. However, it is now evident that you are being unimaginably equipped for monarchy. In his second letter to Timothy, the Apostle Paul writes in verse 8 of chapter 4, "The crown of righteousness, which will be given to me on that day by the Lord, the just judge, is already in store for me." Selected one. Paul is not the only one who inherited this. You own it. Every secretly sowed tear, every dutiful stride. This crown has been secured by every act of perseverance. The waiting, the loneliness, and the rejection. It was never pointless. Maybe you thought the crown was delayed, but it was all preparation for the moment when heaven says, "It is time. Place the crown upon my chosen one." The solution is found in the holy rhythm of heaven. Why hasn't my breakthrough come yet? Why do I still feel unseen? You asked yourself. Crowns take time to prepare. The timing of their release is ideal. The crown did not show up the next day when Joseph had his authority dream. Before the idea became a reality, years of jails, pits, and valleys were required, and it arrived in its entirety when it did. The same goes for you, selected one. It is not denial to delay. It's a prelude to grandeur. Consider the crown a duty as well as an honor. Crowns aren't ornaments. They are signs of power. Not only will your crown gleam when it rests on you, but it will also be heavy. People's lives will change when you speak. Atmospheres will bend as you go. Doors that were previously sealed will open on their own as you move. Authority without integrity is hazardous, which is why you were so well prepared. But now that you've survived the fire, you're prepared to rule wisely. If some people are unable to celebrate your coronation, don't be shocked. You won't be understood in the palace by those who knew you in the valley. Those who made fun of your hardships won't respect your leadership. However, this is irrelevant, because their adulation does not determine your crown. Only the decision of heaven determines it. No man, no demon, and no power in the universe can take away the crown that heaven bestows upon you. Selected one, I want you to speak prophetically about this reality. I wear splendor. Type these words. Furthermore, despite its seeming simplicity, this is far more complex. It is a statement that you are moving in a harmony with your own self, to the angels, and to the invisible world. The approval of man is not what you're waiting for. You're not looking to those who didn't see you for approval. You are adamantly declaring that my crown is safe. Glory is what I wear, even before it is seen by the public. Allow yourself to agree with heaven's viewpoint each time you write it. You are bringing the promise of tomorrow into the faith of today. Before the invisible crown is seen, you are wearing it. You are walking like the royal one by doing this. It was always meant to be you. Don't shrink back then. Raise your head. Adjust your posture. The difficulties were worthwhile. It was moistened by the tears. It was shielded by waiting. Furthermore, your crown is no longer just a pipe dream. You live with it. Selected one. Awaiting you is your crown. And before long, it will glow through your life for everyone to see, not just resting on your head. Selected one. You have not sent everyone who smiles at you to walk with you. Some bear daggers of jealousy while hiding behind masks of camaraderie. Some seem to be helpful while covertly plotting your demise. You question why certain relationships exhaust you. Why did certain collaborations fail? Why you appear to be betrayed, even in the most trusted areas. This is the reality. In disguise, you have had adversaries. This is meant to make you intelligent rather than afraid, since light draws both searchers and liars. Your crown sparkles brightly. As the number of moths increases, not all of them are benign. Some are attracted to your radiance and want to absorb it. Heaven hasn't abandoned you, however. In due time, every secret spy will be revealed. All masks will come off. Your brightness will shine through every gloom. You have experienced this, haven't you? The Bible states in Proverbs 27 verse 6 that wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. Sometimes the noisy cheerers disappeared just when you needed them most. Sometimes the most profound betrayals occurred from those who pledged devotion. However, avoid allowing resentment to fester within of you. Every fictitious buddy was an instructor. Every adversary that was concealed was exposed. Every treachery turned into a trimming, removing items that are unable to get to your destination. Consider it similar to a garden. Weeds may first seem innocuous when they grow next to roses. They may even seem alive and green. However, they gradually suffocate the roots, consuming the water intended for aesthetic purposes. When weeds start to grow, a shrewd gardener pulls them out because he knows the rose will blossom more brilliantly. Heaven has impacted your life in that way. Every time a fake heart was exposed, it was to safeguard your blossom, not to harm you. The notion of people who took advantage of your generosity may make you angry. But keep in mind, choose one. Even without his treachery, Judas was essential to the Jesus tale. Resurrection would not have resulted from the crucifixion. The path to greatness was what the adversary meant to be harmful. Likewise, your life's betrayals weren't the end. They mark a new chapter in your journey toward greater success. I must now talk to you from the bottom of my heart. I encourage you to join our mission if this word is nourishing your soul and you sense the weight of truth bearing down on your spirit. Likes, shares, and subscriptions are more than simply token gestures. Making sure it doesn't do it is similar to tossing wood into a fire. It spreads warmth to others who are still lost in the cold by maintaining the flame. Consider it a lighthouse. Ships are guided safely to shore by a lone flame on a tall tower, which alerts them to danger. However, that flame has to be nurtured, nourished, and kept blazing. Your assistance is what keeps this light burning, so that other selected individuals who are still lost might find their way home. Additionally, don't consider sowing a contribution in and of itself if your heart is drawn to it. Think of it like sowing a seed in a fruitful field. A farmer plants to grow, not to lose. Each seed you sow here transcends a screen. It turns into hope for the broken, drink for the thirsty, and food for the hungry. In harvest, you get back what you unleash. To be clear, however, our objective is not limited to a single voice. You're also involved in it. You are joining heaven's army in spreading light just by sharing, by encouraging others, by being there to keep the fire burning. We reveal the hidden adversaries together. When we band together, we remind the tired that crowns do exist. And in a world that has become darker, we all work together to keep the lighthouse shining. Comfort the one you've chosen. You have, in fact, had adversaries in disguise. You have really been deceived. You're not wrecked, however. You're sophisticated. Those who conspired against you have unwittingly improved your judgment, and every mask you have removed has left you stronger, lighter, and more liberated. You can see more clearly than before. You've become a wiser person, and eventually, you will look back with appreciation rather than resentment, since those who try to bring you down did nothing except advance you closer to your kingdom. Keep your heart safe, but don't shut it. Continue to be perceptive while maintaining compassion, because not everyone who approaches is hostile. Some are sent by God to assist in carrying out the vision, and God will provide you the discernment to see the difference. You're not alone on your journey. You are crowned, protected, and led. And no secret enemy. Nothing. No phony companion. What God has decreed for your life cannot be undone by a traitor. Selected one. Seasons are not arbitrary. Your existence follows divine cycles, just as the land transitions from winter to spring and from summer to harvest. You could have experienced a period of interminable waiting, wondering why doors stayed closed, why prayers appear to go unanswered, and why nothing seemed to change. Now listen to this. The time of year has changed. Here you are at the pivotal moment. Heaven was predetermined before you could see it. The quiet you bore wasn't a lack of presence. Gestation was the cause. In the same way that a seed has to stay concealed in the ground before emerging. Secret locations were shaping your fate. Being hidden does not mean being rejected. It serves as defense. A seed would wither under pressure if it were left out before its roots took hold. God did the same for you, keeping you hidden until the appropriate time. Now is the time. Consider your hardships as winter, cold, desolate, and devoid of beauty, yet essential to the development cycle. Trees lose their leaves to preserve their vigor, not because they are dying. While the branches rest, the roots delve deeper. You have been that. What seemed to be loss was really preservation. The quiet was becoming stronger. And now, as winter ends and spring begins, your period of concealment is giving way to disclosure. In Habakkuk's scroll, the prophet penned chapter 2, verse 3. Because the revelation foretells the end and will not turn out to be untrue, it awaits its set moment. Wait for it, even if it lingers. It will undoubtedly arrive and not be delayed. You're alive with this fact. It was never a wasted waiting season. It was getting ready for the scheduled time. You are now entering acceleration, even if it seemed like a delay. What was once a locked door is now starting to open. The once recalcitrant earth is now blooming. There is no denying the change, and your soul is already aware of it. Selected one. Never undervalue the importance of time. Out of season, a gift turns into a hardship. If a crown is placed too soon, it may crush the head it sits on. But when a moment is perfect, the weight turns into splendor, the crown rises, and the blessing grows. Heaven has been directing your movements to ensure that you not only get there, but arrive prepared. You could see minor adjustments. First, an unexpected chance, a discussion that seems divinely connected, and a weight being lifted off your shoulders. The first blooms that emerge from the cold are the earliest indications of spring. Don't write them off as coincidences. Consider them to be signals. It's a different season for you. This is a turning moment in more than just your outside existence. It's for your inner self as well. The fatigue you were carrying is fading. Clarity is taking the place of the uncertainty that previously weighed you down. Peace is replacing the weight that is pushing on your chest. From inside, you're being rejuvenated, and that rejuvenation is permeating every aspect of your existence. Selected one. The change does not imply that there will be no conflicts. There are storms even in the spring. Harvest low. You are now aligned, however, which makes a difference. You're no longer being resisted by the earth. It involves collaborating with you. The winds of heaven are behind you, pushing you into the once inaccessible. What formerly needed effort will now flow naturally. Pay attentive attention to the patterns in your surroundings. The things that formerly drained you are becoming less powerful. Even the once immovable barriers are starting to give way. This is not something you are pushing. Because of a mandate from God, it is taking place. The time of year has shifted. Furthermore, no force can turn back the clock when heaven changes the times. Don't hold on to things that belong to the past. Certain connections, routines, and even attitudes are incompatible with the new. You have to let go of winter in order to enter spring. It's not a loss. It's a transition. You must let go of things that are no longer necessary for your development, just as a tree does not lament its leaves when spring arrives. Celebrate this fact, chosen one. It has not been a pointless wait. This moment was the culmination of every quiet day. Your promise was being nourished by each tear. Every prayer you believed was unheard was being kept in the bowls of heaven, waiting to be released when the time was right. Now, take a brave step forward. The time of year has changed. This is the pivotal moment. Before your eyes, something that seemed unthinkable is going to happen. Heaven has aligned it, not because you made it happen. A new chapter, a new beat, a new flow is upon you. And what has already started cannot be stopped. Selected one. You are under the influence of an intangible but unquestionable force. You can't touch it. However, it is perceptible. You can't steal it. However, it is acknowledged in both the visible and invisible worlds. The seal of heaven is this. The seal boldly proclaims who you are, even if others may wonder. The seal validates you in the eyes of your adversaries. Even if you sometimes question whether you were really selected, the seal remains unflinching as indisputable evidence. This seal is not like a wax stamp that can be broken or a human signature that can be faked. It is everlasting, divine, and was put on your soul by God himself. It is a mark that indicates that this one is mine. This one has my name, my power, and my mission. That's why you've always been drawn back by something, no matter how far you've gone. That's why you have a spark within, even when you're at your lowest. Don't die. You're sealed. In chapter 1 of his letter to the Ephesians, the apostle reminds us. Verse 13, you received the promised Holy Spirit as a seal when you believed. This indicates that your seal is live fire rather than visible ink. The Spirit himself attests to your selection. For this reason, the mood changes as you go into a room. Because of this, people notice you even when you are silent. Around you, certain people feel at ease. Others experience conviction. Some people are attracted to you. People oppose you. It has nothing to do with your personality. Your seal is to blame. Selected one. Consider your life. When danger was imminent, how many times were you saved? How many times have you left circumstances that ought to have ended badly? The seal was protecting you. How many times did you hear your inner voice say, not here, not now, not this way? Your route was reversed because heaven's mark will not let your destiny to be interrupted, even if others may have walked into disaster. Do you recall the times you made an effort to fit in? You wanted to blend in and be normal, but something made you stand out, exposed you, and made you stand out even if you didn't want to. The seal was there too. It will not allow you to live a modest life. It requires you to get up against your own reluctance. The seal of heaven is a calling and a shield. It draws you toward what would elevate you and protects you from what will devastate you. The adversary could never have you completely because of this. He attempted to trap you with cycles, deceptions, and temptations. Despite your stumbles, falls, and doubts, the seal would not release you because heaven had already marked you and no amount of strength could remove it. Selected 1. The path has included your identity difficulties as well. Am I really chosen? Am I truly called? You wondered, but each time, heaven responded with a word of assurance. Through a whisper that broke through the cacophony, through a sign, or through a dream. The seal is speaking louder than your uncertainty in this instance. I now want you to behave in a way that is consistent with this reality. In the comments, type the number 555. Why the number 555? Because it speaks of entire change, of heavenly favor overflowing, of grace doubled. Every time you type 555, you are announcing, I carry the seal. I am marked by grace. I walk in favor. It is a prophetic sign that states, I am not just touched by God. I am sealed by him. A message has weight when it bears the seal of a monarch. Since the seal itself symbolizes the throne's power, cannot be disregarded. Likewise, your life bears the seal of the throne of heaven. For this reason, doors open for you without warning. Because of this, opportunities might come to you even if you don't look for them. Favor surrounds you like a shield because of this. The world could seem normal. You carry a royal edict, nevertheless, as the unseen world is aware. Selected 1. Over you, the seal is irrevocable. No error can take it away. It cannot be canceled by failure. It cannot be broken by an adversary. Heaven's mark followed you even when you doubted yourself. It's time for you to embrace that fact with courage. Raise your head. Make your back straight. Proceed with the knowledge that the real God himself, not man or chance, has sealed you. Your account serves as evidence. The evidence is your scars. The evidence is your very survival. And the indestructible remembrance is the seal. Heaven is where you belong. You have been selected. You've been marked. Selected 1. This is one of the most important things you need to remember. They will create weapons against you, but they won't succeed. This pledge should not be misinterpreted. It is not stated in the text that there will never be a weapon. They won't succeed, it says. There may be Ardex, Arisa, Shimsmi. The seal of heaven over your life ensures that devastation will never have the last say, even while storms rage. The adversary has been creating weapons against the selected from the beginning. Cain put his hand up to Abel. The Israelites were pursued by Pharaoh's troops. Goliath made fun of David. Daniel was awaited by the lions. Jesus was the target of the cross. Every tale of the righteous exposes a tool intended to shatter them. Every anecdote, however, also exposes the bigger picture. The finest plans of the adversary fail because of God's hand. In verse 17 of chapter 54, the prophet Isaiah made a declaration. You will dispel every accusation made against you, and no weapon created against you will succeed. Selected 1. Take note of the specifics. It reads forged. Thus, the weapon is authentic. It has been purposefully created. The purpose of the falsehoods spoken about you was to puncture. The betrayals were honed to a razor's edge. The situation you were in was deliberately designed to crush your spirit. But the decision of heaven cannot be overridden by a sword, no matter how well forged it is. It has a genuine shape. However, its result has already been defeated. Reflect on your life. How many times did you think your life was over, only to learn that you had once again survived? How often did you believe this to be it? I can't continue, but you managed to get back up. It wasn't luck. It was Isaiah's promise come true. The weapon did not succeed, but it was genuine. The wars may have left you scarred. Yes, but such wounds don't mean you've lost. They provide proof of survival. The narrative is told by them. The weapon did not succeed, but it did develop. Each scar serves as evidence that heaven's hand won out and the enemy's plans were foiled. Selected 1. Gain a thorough understanding of this. The results are the same regardless of the kind of weapon. External resistance, loss, and treachery may sometimes be used as a weapon. Internal doubt, anxiety, and despair may be used as a weapon. Sometimes it's subtle, a shadow telling you to give up or a whisper that you're not good enough. However, The weapon is subject to the same decree in all its forms. It can't thrive on you. Think about the fire that Abednego, Mach, and Shadrach had to deal with. The fire was genuine. 7 times as much heat was added to the furnace. They were not destroyed by the fire, but the troops who tossed them in were eaten. Why? Because man's weapon was overruled by the decision of God. Likewise, your flames have been genuine, but in your core, God's hand has left you unaltered. Selected 1. Don't freak out the next time you see a weapon growing. Acknowledge it as such. Evidence that you pose a threat to the dark. Weapons aren't made for innocuous people. They were established in opposition to the strong. The assaults you encounter are a result of your strength, not your weakness. You are being opposed because you were chosen, not because you were forgotten. Raise your head. Start to see the firearm as confirmation rather than something to be afraid of. Only the amount of light you carry is revealed by each assault. Every plan only reveals the extent to which fate is in your hands. And every time the weapon fails, it simply serves to demonstrate how much more powerful your God is. Selected 1. Your voice is authoritative. The text states that you will deny every accusatory mouth in addition to the weapon failing. That implies deception.